Hello, hello. Welcome to Hair in My Mouth podcast, where we bring you the real tea of the salon. I'm Marge.
I'm Marcelino.
Chloe.
And we have a special guest, my longtime friend, Nicole Pfeiffer.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Nicole Pfeiffer. I'm an experienced designer and event designer with BCD Meetings and Events. So I'm happy to be here.
Yay! Okay. And her Instagram is Nap Events if you want to book her for your events.
Wait, cheers. We gotta cheers because Nicole's here.
Yes. She's our very first special guest. And also, not only is she a friend, she's also a client.
Yes.
A very long client.
Long time clients. And
New to me, but long time to Marge.
True.
And today we'll be talking about relationships and friendships with hairstylists. I don't know if a lot of you have, know someone in your group that are a hairdresser and they're close to you. But through my many years of different career paths, my good friend here has been a big part of that.
Solid.
And
She's a trooper.
I am.
Oh my
But
God.
your hair looks really good.
You're right.
It always does.
Through trial and error, we've got it down.
The perks of having a friend that owns a salon. Oh, yeah.
There's perks and there's cons. Definitely perks and cons. Yeah. Where do we even begin?
How did you first meet Nicole?
Oh.
Good one.
I'll let you take it away.
So the first time I met Margarita was in a company back in the 1900s.
Oh my God. Not the 1900s.
Called Wet Seal, guys.
It wasn't the hundreds, but it was definitely the early 2000s.
Valid. So we met. I got hired at Wet Seal. I just moved to Chicago, and I remember trying to learn the cash register. And Margarita was my
Trainee.
colleague that was training me. And the whole time, she just gave me this kind of evil stare. She's like, this bitch. And I couldn't stop laughing because I have a nervous laugh. So the entire time I laughed and she was serious. And it was a blooming friendship from there.
From there, it just blooms.
Promising
beginnings.
Sometimes you have to kind of be the bully in order to create a solid friendship. Even if you don't intend to be.
That's a hot
But
take.
yeah.
Well, especially now, like, just being hairstylists,
Yeah.
you do have to have, like, a little bit of authority with your client. Not authority, but you have to set a little bit of boundaries and just, like, be professional
Everybody
first.
loves a dominatrix, you know?
Someone who's a top.
Oh my God.
No. But anywho, someone who could make the deciding decision, I guess. Sometimes I feel like clients in the chair definitely want someone with more guidance, or like at least know what's, I don't want to say best for them, but maybe, compliment them.
Exactly. I feel like more so now, especially through like the power of TikTok, more clients are aware of our profession. As far as like back in the day, I don't want to say back in the day because that even ages me. But in the 1900s, everyone was just so stern on what they thought worked best for them, even if it didn't. Like the Michelle Tanner flower bangs.
Oh,
That's not a thing
I don't
for
think we've
everyone.
ever did that to you.
No.
I hope not. I hope not. But like some people get stuck in their ways, and sometimes that way isn't ideal for you.
This is an interesting topic, in my opinion, because as long as I've known Marge, she has determined my hairstyles for me because I'm so indecisive. And so I'm like, do you guys like it when a client's like so open to being like, do whatever, I'm a free-for-all, like be adventurous?
Of course.
Or do you like the client to actually have an input and know a little bit of direction of like, I want this, or, you know, can you make it look kind of like that? Because you've had full creativity over all of this.
Yeah, but I feel like it's different for us because we have such a long term, like a long history, that I think if it was someone completely new, I think it'd be a little bit more challenging because I think sometimes clients are like, yeah, do whatever, but there's certain restrictions. Like, I know you, and I know, like, when I you know, put you with Marcelina, I told Marcelina, like, she's really, like, down for whatever. It's like, this girl had, like, shaved sides, like, graphics in her hair. Like, she was, like...
We should get some, like, clips on the side.
Well,
We're going to link a slideshow after the podcast.
This is our PowerPoint.
She was platinum blonde. Like, she has been, she was, what? You've had black, red, platinum blonde, bobs, long hair, short hair. Literally, like, she had graphics in her hair. Like, she's one person that I truly believe that she's like, do whatever you want.
Exactly.
But I don't think there's that confidence when you just are starting to build a relationship with a client, at least for me.
I agree.
To have that be like, oh, are you sure you really want whatever? Because I know I had a mishap when someone's like, do whatever, and I gave her micro bangs, and that Yelp review is still out there. And she literally put it in all caps, like, don't see Margarita. And I was like,
Oh, the review.
It happens. We've all had that little slip up.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally get where you're coming from, because it's also the energy that the client comes off, or what they come into on that day. Like, some of my regulars are like, oh yeah, I don't care, I love whatever you do, I'm gonna love it. And I'm like, thank you for trusting me. Some who've been with me are just stern on like, do what you did in the past. Or my favorite is when they're like, last time was my favorite. And I'm like, I remember last time, but sometimes last time doesn't always work. Like, we have to take into consideration about like anything that has changed in your hair, or even in your health history. Right now with the world, pollution, minerals in your water, we don't know. But we have to tackle through all of it, which is harder on our end. So there's times where I do feel sad, or not sad, but a little scared when I'm like, I remember last time, but last time's not gonna work. And then we have to try to break it to them gently, like, okay, I still used what I did last time, but I had to switch it up just a smidge.
That's interesting. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I'd like a jumping off point personally, but then once I get to know them, it's kind of fun to throw new stuff out. Like, hey, did you see that? Like, this would look really cool on you.
Yeah. Do you guys, sorry, not to
No,
be
go.
interviewing, but I have so many questions.
No,
Who gets
that's
to
why
sit
you're
down
on.
with the stylist?
You're our very first client experience, so you're the perfect person to tell us.
Yeah. So I heard this concept the other day, and as a designer, you know, they brought to my attention design with intent. How does that resonate with you guys? Like, how do you guys get to express your creativity with intention to some of the kind of topics, global topics that you were kind of talking about, as far as, you know, climate control and, you know, maybe inclusion and those kind of really hard-hitting topics that we're going through right now?
I feel like now in the hair industry, we are focusing more so on hair bonding formulations, all these extra systems to help protect the integrity of your hair. Right now we include K18. Well, I do personally with majority of my clients now. I'm like, hey, this is an extra $20 add-on, but it's a saver to your hair. Like, you're gonna love it. As far as like the climate in the world is at the moment, I've noticed that there's high stress for everyone. A lot of people are very concerned with hair loss, which happens through the weather, stress, hormones, whatever it may be. I try to create like a maintenance for them. What is your everyday routine? How often do you wash? How often you should wash? So on and so forth. But if there's someone who's like, my hair became really fine and I just miss my thick hair, we're gonna put extensions in. And people are like, oh, like that's expensive. It is expensive, but it's an investment. Like, if your hair is thin and it's hard to grow, it's kind of an out of sight, out of mind thing, because when you're styling your hair, you're styling the extensions more than your actual hair. So you give your hair a breather. And then it also is a huge benefit, because I just had a client recently who got K-tips for her wedding, and I gave her a trial K-tip, and she's like,
Okay, wait a second. What is a K-tip?
A K-tip is a protein bond extension.
Okay.
So I don't want to say you melt it, but you heat it, and then you wrap it around a hair strand, and it kind of creates like a mini dread in a sense. Okay. But it's out of sight, out of mind. No maintenance. It's 360 mobility. You treat it like your real hair. But I gave her a trial one with just one K-tip, and she's like, I didn't realize how fast my hair grew, because you could see it.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, and even with that, she took into consideration with how much she should shampoo her hair and wash it, because it's tedious to blow dry extensions. It's labor in itself.
Yeah.
And she's like, now that she has a full head, she's like, I think I might wash my hair a little less. And I'm like, perfect, because you need those natural oils.
Nature's natural conditioner.
Okay.
But yeah, I think
Building those relationships too. It's so important.
yeah, we're like we're like doctors. I feel like piggyback off the question, it's like, how do we create, with intention? I think we're like writing little prescriptions for each client and customizing, like, this is what you need to do, this is your plan. I always like to know, like, what's someone's plan, like, do you want to stay with this length, do you plan on growing it out later,
Like your
what's
hair
your goal?
What's your hair journey?
And then from there we tailor a plan for you, and we're both on the same plan. Wi-Fi plan.
We got the 5G over here.
So it's like a Wi-Fi plan.
Yeah. And I would say, going off of that as well, is there's so much good education for hairstylists now. And there's actually a lot more requirements than we had in the past. So now we're required to recognize the signs of domestic violence, and we're certified for that. And there's also a sexual harassment class that we take.
Wow.
And as well as, there was a company that we use, their product line, we love their products, Colton King, and they offered an emotional intelligence class, which I thought was so interesting. And
That's wild.
no one's perfect, but it is important that we just give them a safe space to be able to share how they're feeling. And there is a lot going on, so yeah, it's good that we have those resources.
Our Lick is a part of, what's the project that we're a part of again?
Oh, the dress code project.
Yeah, the dress code project.
Yeah. Which basically says, like, we are inclusive to everyone, no matter race, gender, pronouns, sexuality. Like, I don't know. Marge just created a safe space for everyone.
I definitely can feel that. So I went to your guys' last pop-up event, which you guys had. Let me recap it. There was a lot of music. There was a lot of laughter. There was mini tattoos happening in the corner. There was a bake sale kind of happening. Yes. And then you guys were doing the glitter.
Hair tinsel.
Thank you. Technical terms.
Hair tinsel.
And there.
And razzle dazzle.
You know what? One of the things that I got to talking with another participant that was there that day was the they just could feel this good vibes, like the good energy. Like everybody was talking. It was very inclusive. Like when you walked in, you felt that warmth. You wanted to be a part of it. You guys had a line out the door.
Our tattoo artist was popular that day.
She really was.
And she will make a return.
People were coming out of the woodworks for the little.
But I think that speaks volumes to you guys, like including other art forms too. Like baking is definitely an art form. Tattooing is another art form. I mean, it's so important to include these art forms, and you guys did that successfully. So, another cheers to
Yeah.
to the lit click.
That goes, like, we try to surround ourselves with a lot of artists and small business and things like that. I know personally, tons of folks out there running their own business. So, so we gotta support each other.
So when are you guys doing the next one?
So we're hoping to do it for Pride. So stay tuned.
Awesome.
In June, yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I wanted to create a space like that, but I'm always happy to hear from people that that's really what's being, you know, shown and felt, because sometimes I feel like we try to create a space and sometimes it doesn't reflect that way. So I'm glad that you and I think another participant has said the same thing, different aside, you know, and that means a lot to me, because that's really why I wanted to do hair and start my own salon, because I'm like, okay, where am I gonna like fit in? I'm kind of like weird and like kooky.
So on your guys' journey to get here, have you been at other salons where you don't feel this culture? Like, I'm, you know, her best friend, so often I go where she goes, and I have felt that because she is a ray of sunshine. But like, have you guys had your own experiences with other salons maybe not feeling that excitement in the environment and in the energy of or the vibe of the place?
I've really loved every place I worked at, and it's had its own kind of character. That's what's cool about salons, is every salon has their own kind of vibe and character, but I think you end up where you're supposed to be. So
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Very true.
Yeah.
I did interview at some places that I felt like were kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a cool process, just to see like, okay, what are these spots like? And truly everywhere is different. So it is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like gravitate to areas that I feel like I can thrive in, but it's also based off of the energy that I receive more than what I give, in a sense. I feel like there's some places I've interviewed where they're like, what do you bring to the table that will make me profit? And sometimes that doesn't settle well with me, because it's like, yes, I get, like, I need to make money, but I also want to feel comfortable in my job.
Yeah, it's company culture,
Yeah.
which is a huge aspect to today's employment, right?
Yeah.
Like, you want to be a part of this company culture, and it's important.
Yeah, and sometimes there's, like, there's an area where you're like, oh, I made it big. And I've hit that area in my life, and I worked there for 3 years, and I realized that's just not really who I am as a person. And also the clientele that were there weren't my people. Being originally from Michigan, which I didn't realize was so conservative at the time, because that's where I grew up. Once I left, I realized, like, whoa, I do not belong there at all.
Oh, really?
Like, I worked at a salon where I had clients who were going to be a client of mine, but opted out because they said I didn't fit their religion.
Oh, wow.
And so it was like a slap in the face,
Yeah.
and some of my coworkers at the time heard it, and they were like baffled, but at the same time you can't do anything. To be like,
You don't want them as your client anyway.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like, to be a Hispanic gay male, it's not fitting for some. And that's fine. I'm not for everyone.
Yeah.
But it does
You're
make
for
me-
us.
I know.
That was good.
It is. And that's why I gravitated to Lit, because my interview didn't feel like an interview with March. It just felt like.
Oh, that's so true. Oh my god.
Right?
I'm getting kind of emotional thinking about it. Because
Right?
I remember I like interviewed and she's like, well, at the end I was like, well, do you want me to bring in a model or like show you what I can do? And she's like, no, we think you're awesome.
she just,
like come in here and do whatever. And I'm like, oh,
Trusted us.
yeah,
But she made
saw
me
something
feel
there.
more of like talent in a person than an object of money. Which is like, that's what you want. You want to walk in to somewhere that feels like home. She gives us our own creativity, our own schedule, whatever we say we want or need or thinking about, she'll take it into consideration. Where others will be like, no, that doesn't fit our vibe or our aesthetic. And I'm like,
oh yeah, you should see our stations.
Whatever. She's like, put pictures up.
Mine is so colorful, and then Marcelino's is all like matte black and super sleek.
A little spooky.
But I did want to ask you, did you meet one of your best friends through your previous? How did you meet Grace?
I did meet a really good friend of mine. Like, my best friend in Chicago is Grace. We did work together at my previous salon. She was a client who turned into a manager, and at first, I honestly did not like Grace.
The real
I feel like that's how
Grace watching at home, like
Grace is like, no. But that's how like friendships start. I mean, that's how we started. That's how we started.
Yep. She was intimidating.
No, like I didn't like Grace because of a certain person she associated with.
Oh, okay.
Which isn't bad. And no shade to that person, we just did not click.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then we had an outing where the salon had a Sunday fun day.
we love that.
We
love it.
And then Grace and I decided to get a little wasted, and we just bonded over childhood trauma. And I was like, you're my best friend.
It's like, how do we make trauma funny?
Exactly. That's what we do. We make everything funny. We will text each other at 3 a.m. in the morning because we also have the same stomach issues. But
Come
it's
through.
fine, right? But I don't know. She's also a genuine person that tries to know me and understands me. Where most of the people that I have met in a friend setting in the city, it just all feels fake. And then it's like, oh, hi, bye. And I'm like, okay, yeah, hi, bye. But it's also nice that we're both homebodies. So it's like, you're my best friend and we don't have to hang out, but we do text every day.
I think that's adult friendships because I know for me, Nicole, and Deanna, we see each other, I think 3-4 times a year, if it's a good year.
Every quarter.
Yeah, every quarter of the season.
What time is this now?
We're going to have something in April for spring, or spring quarterly meeting.
Spring fling.
Where,
It's sad, but it's true.
And just because I think adult relationships, it's life is so fast, and we're all and I think
the weeks are flying by.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's going to be the Pride pop-up soon,
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, life happens so fast, and if if your friend doesn't understand, then that's not your friend.
You know what you're sounding like to me? That Ferris Bueller.
What?
Life happens fast.
Life happens fast. Call off work.
Look around.
Go to that Sox game. We're not Cubs fans. Well, I'm not.
Life is short, ultimately. Have fun.
Had a client that you became friends with and then brought them into your friend group, and it became this whole everlasting friendship between all parties?
I think for me, no.
For me, the opposite. I would say that There's some clients that I've become friends with, and then they've kind of invited me into their little friend group.
Is that weird?
I think it's really sweet. I'm glad
Yeah?
they did, just because like everybody gets along really well.
I know.
But yeah, it depends. You have to.
Some of my clients.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nice relationship.
You really have
Yeah.
to feel the vibe. I kind of let them like take the wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know you like to go out with some of your clients, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
I wish I had that energy, but then
You're a homebody.
Your girl.
Yeah,
But I also-
I have some clients that come and they're like, okay, let me book the evening haircut and then we'll go for a drink or something after. Like Jamie loves to do that, but
we
Shout
love
out
Jamie.
I mean, she's the only one I do that with. I mean, like, let's block out tomorrow morning too.
Blackout tunnel. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm kidding. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode.
yes.
Ready?
That went quick, guys.
Thank you for your questions, Nicole.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It was a
Of course.
pleasure to have you.
Yeah, there's gonna have to be a round 2.
Yeah.
Part
I
2.
still have questions coming, guys.
Yes, thank
Part
you for
2.
enriching us in that topic.
Yeah,
this
so
week. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. We're also on Apple Podcast. Follow us on Instagram, Hair in My Mouth. Thank you again, Nicole, for
Thanks,
joining
Nicole.
us.
Of course.
Our next episode is going to be Does Size Matter?
Does it? Stay tuned. That's a juicy one. That's
It is.
we're not gonna want to miss that one.
Well,
Stay tuned.
cheers.
Cheers.